Hello, sacred beings of light and dark. Welcome back to week 7 of Solstice Echoes. I'm a little later than usual this week because my attention got drawn into a tarot deck that I've had for quite a while called the Wildwood Tarot. And I got particularly interested in the fact that it follows seasonal cycles. It's probably a deck that I should have brought up as I began, but I didn't. And I really was looking into how they were using the tarot deck to merge with seasonal cycles. So there was an image that they had within the book, but then I further expanded on that because I like to work with data and imagery together to bring forward more understandings. So I want to look at that aspect, and particularly with the fact that we just are at the point of Imbolc, which was February 1st and 2nd. And so I want to look at that with relationship to the Wildwood Tarot. I want to briefly touch on the drawing that I did this week, yesterday. And then we'll have a couple of mudras to do for this week too, as well. And some reflections in general that I'm experiencing at this time. So for the Wildwood Tarot deck, first I want to show an image of what the book shows for the Wildwood Tarot. And what you'll notice here is that there's a center that's called the heart area. And then there's an inner aspect in the grayish area, and then an outer aspect. And all of the major arcana cards are within that those three circles. And then there's a final white aspect, and that's where the other suits of the cards dwell. So that's their version of this deck, and I wanted to expand on that a little bit further, and in particular thinking about different systems like tarot, the seasons, and astrological signs. So this is an image that I came up with, and I've circled the fact that we are in Earth season and Imbolc, which I just mentioned. So Imbolc is halfway between winter and spring. And I had mentioned, I think in the first video in Solstice Echoes, how the astrological signs have different qualities to them. One being that there's the quality of air, water, fire, and earth. And if you go around this particular image that I've drawn up, you'll see how that's at the winter solstice we're starting with earth, and then we're going into Aquarius air, and then into Pisces water, and to Aries fire. And then that cycle repeats all the way around in that same order. Within this Wildwood Tarot deck, however, there's a recognition of Earth being midway between Scorpio and Sagittarius at Samhain. And then that continues on to a midpoint between Aquarius and Pisces. So it's interesting that I knew that we were in the Earth realm, but didn't know that in the cycles of this pattern, that the Earth aspect started in at the end of October, and has moved in to this time period. And so Imbolc is on this system is a transition point between between Earth and air. So we're going from a point of something physical and grounded in the earth to movement and lightness and less grounded. So let's see if there's anything else here I wanted to point out. I think that's about it. And now I want to put up an image of the cards based on this system that are currently involved. And within this image, across the top, you see 4 cards that represent the period of the winter solstice. And it starts with the Wanderer and moves to the Moon on the Water, the Hooded Man, and the Great Bear. So to me, this sequence is about being willing to journey on into a new realm. But the moon is about going inward within ourselves and being still there. The Hooded Man, again, is an inward card, but there's also some light that's being shown or used to find a pathway. And then the Great Bear, he seems to be saying, are you willing to go through this new pathway? He's kind of like daring you to come through this passageway. Within this time period from the solstice to Imbolc, we have a set of 7 cards. And I was kind of unsure about how these cards laid out. I got a sense that, well, there were 2 cards. The horse definitely said that it was at the beginning of the winter solstice, and the lynx as moving into Imbolc. But the other cards didn't have particular placement, and so I kind of put them, so these are the regular deck cards, and we're in Earth season. So in this deck it is the stones, and so I put the portion of the ending of the stones within the 2 major arcana cards. So within this sequence, the horse seems to represent a resilience and moving forward, and strength and movement. There's a card of exploitation, which makes me think of the ways that we allow ourselves to be exploited, or things that don't suit us as well as we thought they might. And then there's a card of healing, to release and let go of those things that have harmed us or don't suit us, and to heal from what harm has come of us. The lynx then seems to represent protection and looking out for those things that will better suit us. And then there's the 8 of stones, the skill, which maybe is the skill that we want to next bring into the world. or to educate ourselves about and to persevere further into. There's a card of tradition, but it really reminds me of being grounded in the world and yet connected to the universe. And there seems to be a balance in the fact that he's sitting cross-legged there with stones behind him. So bringing with the skill, having decisions to bring something new or inviting into the world, and then to sit in meditation with those ideas and make sure that they're in balance. And finally, we have a home card, which is like a gateway or a precipice between our inner and outer worlds of what we've been thinking about. We've been contemplating, what's harmed us, but then letting that go, and thinking about what direction we might want to take now. And are we going to cross that precipice of our inner world to our outer world of something new? The last cards here are for the Imbolc itself, and one is the Ancestor, which I believe represents both a guide and a guardian to a next phase. So again, it's that precipice in the home card that it might be alluding to. And then the pole star is like the universal support for this, of coming out. I see the man there, he is also coming out from, or it appears that he's coming out from some forest into an opening where there is more support. So I just really got into this week and found this interesting and wanted to share this particular aspect of different ways you might see the systems of the seasons as they go around. In particular for me this week, I've been sensing fluctuation between having a rather dull sense of energy and a more heightened sense of energy, kind of going back and forth, and even ideas flipping back and forth in what I want to bring forward and what I don't, or I don't no longer want to explore anymore. There's also been digestive issues that I've been experiencing, but seem to have also come out in the drawing that I did this week. In particular, excuse me, speaking of digestive issues, and burping is actually a way of release or shifting of energy. So maybe that's what's occurring at this moment. But digestion was really coming through. It seemed like there was a lot of crazy energy underneath, and there is a separation in the drawing between the underneath and the up above. And the energy below was very chaotic, and up above it was more clear. But surprisingly to me, there seemed to be this sequence of digestion from perhaps the throat to the stomach and then to the kidney, which I wasn't particularly thinking about the digestion of food, but the digestion of ideas, of things that no longer serve in our worlds, of the ways that we have self-imposed restrictions on ourselves. In fact, I didn't mention, but the intention that I had for the drawing was to release cultural and self-imposed restrictions. And this came through originally because I had this just teeny tiny sense within me of something, that sense of, oh, I have been restricting myself in this way, or I have felt restricted in this little tiny space inside. I could just sense that feeling. And sensing that feeling doesn't mean that I know exactly what I've been restricted of, but that I'm understanding that sensation so that I can explore that a little bit further. So within the drawing, I just wanted to really express that idea of how we might digest those things, such as the exploitation that we might have encountered in our lives. How do we know about those things that have harmed us, or understand what has harmed us, and then process that within ourselves so that we can heal from it. We can move on to do something different than we've done before. We can solidify that within our worlds as a calling in that this is what we want to experience now. And we can walk through our own gateway into something different that we will call home, between our inner and outer worlds. So I think that's about it for the week itself. And the two cards that I thought we'd look at as far as mudras this week include Assimilation, so bringing the new stuff in and incorporating that into our lives, and Integration, another aspect of having that come together for us. So for Assimilation, which, as I read the card, is about digestion. So this fits really in with the theme. And this one is held at the abdomen, the stomach. And this is an interlacing of fingers inward with the right thumb over the left and down at the stomach. Breathing here. So my experience with this one and the toning, I felt the energy almost pulsing downward, or at least it was pulling me downward. And as it pulled me downward along the spine, I could also feel my shoulders dropping. Yeah. So, assimilation. And then there's integration, which is more for overall health. This one And it's held in front of the torso and is simply bringing your fingertips together in like you're holding a ball and holding that in front of the torso. So we'll breathe here a moment before toning. So my experience of this one was in the heart center at first, and then rising upward, and then going a little bit downward. I suppose to expand in both areas to allow all systems to experience this. So I think that's what I have for you this week. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.